Well, this is your boy Raashaan Myers, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Apex Sports Radio, WXVW. So excited to be here this episode 26 as it's going down here in Derby City, man. What a week it has been. All kinds of great work. Actually, 2 weeks since I've been on the radio. So there's been so much happening, so much going on. We have so much happening in the world of global athletics, local things happening. It's the middle of the NFL draft, so you have that stuff going on. Some people are happy, some people are upset. Craziness with these draft decisions. We have so many things going on. Transfer portal. Louisville fans are excited. Kentucky fans are glad. Dolphins fans, they have the next European Kevin Garnett, Kevin Durant. It's craziness going on, y'all. We're going to talk about in a couple of hours. Sorry, I didn't that happened over on 264. So if you are headed eastbound on 264, right before the popular road exit, you might be waiting. Sorry about that. It's rolling a little bit late. But just glad to be here with you. We have so many things to talk about. You know, we're talk about it all. Lots of people before 1450. That is the game day means text line. Would love to hear from you this morning as we go through everything happening. It's been a crazy week for the boys. Myself dealing with my Twitter account got hacked. Absolutely unbelievable. My Twitter account got hacked. It's all Scoot's fault. Scoot's name is Dustin Bailey, one of the great producers here at the game. I got duped into clicking on a link that I thought was actually because and also being bad. So I got duped, clicked on the link. I lost my whole that has been an ordeal in itself over the last 2 weeks. Trying to get my back, trying to get it back up and rolling. I lost all my Twitter X followers. Back trying to get them rebuilt. So as you can see, we're all focusing online with the Twitter X. We're using the there as well. 20 days on the business. After the RAASA. Most of you guys already were following me, but if you have not taken in the last, never go to the last 3 weeks, probably because my hand is got compromised. That was easily followed at the time on much appreciated. That's just the best time, right? You gotta have the information. I have the information. I like everything that's going on. We work with that way. So many interesting portal issues over the last couple of weeks. I want to talk about it all with you guys. Of course, breakdown time on the internet-only podcast version of all our basketball conversations comes to you every time. I committed to every time we were got a recording commitment that I was going to go live and talk about what's happening with the transfer portal and university business. So I have to update that. So every one of these initiatives that we made recently, I have definitely gotten brought on breakdown finals for discuss that. Of course, you guys who listen to me directly on the radio haven't listened, haven't had the opportunity to hear that. We'll definitely go over that today. And we'll be following because this is the funny thing about it. You never stop. So there could be new information that we know. We'll definitely be monitoring that. But University of Louisville did make the most recent commitment they did yesterday. Got a new shoe guard, y'all. Got a new shoe guard. Young man is named Montgomery. He's 6'4", strong built, 195, almost 200 pound guard. Transfer today. out there, everybody was like, look, he doesn't compete with teams. I don't know if this guy has got it. And my big thing that I said was, that helps me got a vision for this guy. We got a system. We got this, what he thought this type of team looked like. While the first year was kind of a rebuild, his first real year was this past year. Because the past year was the first one. He got all the out, and he wanted to build a team easily. So there was no expectation because getting that all was going to be. Last year, this past year, was the first year was actually stable. This was his first year with actually, having talent, his system. So I wanted to see how he would attack this. Now we asking his guys, how he going to do it. How is he going to be doing coming into this upcoming third? It's not going to be a season, but it feels like, okay, we had to make we had the first real year expectation. We had some good, some bad. Solid season, but not to the expectation level of what let's see how you move moving into this third season when all the chips are on the table. Now that it's time to go out there and really put the best foot forward, what's that look like? And I think that, Coach Nelson to this point, y'all, he's moving the right kind of way. Of course, we celebrated big time the first two editions of Jackson Selstad, of course, Dunga, of course, the number one player in the portal at the time that at the time that they were getting through. Jackson Selstad was one of the best point guards. Huge splash. Love that. Love the additions, but it was going to be we've known that Coach Nelson loves rim running big. I know that Corey's a different level of rim running big man, but that's basically what he is. He's a big level rim running big man, and also is an otherworld defensive. And Jackson Selstad, great point guard. Coach Nelson has went out there and made a point, whether it be second half run, whether it be running good, and he's always been watching. So while those were two amazing additions, it was really going to be where does he go from here? Okay, and that was the thing where I was like, okay, I understand what you're doing with this first year. Because those are that I expected you to do. But where do you go from there with everybody? What are you going to feel this team in the other positions? I'll tell you what, I love every addition that he's made so far. Not All-American, super talented prospect. One of the best, most athletic wing type players in the draft. College basketball, 6'7". A guy who can handle the ball, create himself, physical driver, a guy who gets to the free throw line. Very, very talented. Has some decent issues at Arkansas, but when he's good and he's healthy, he's one of the most difficult covers in college basketball because of his explosiveness. So that was a big move. I love that move. That was kind of his first move after, the two big splash moves. That definitely signaled that things were going to be different. Then he goes out there, signs the big man in Alpha Road, the big 6'10", strict forward, guy who can play small ball five, but also the stretch four with five. So where last year you had a 6'5", 6'6", line hasn't played before, Alfred Harris is going to be a big man that has a lot of size. You got two big men, both 6'10", that you're sliding into that starting lineup. Harris is from Spain. He's played at Iowa. Before that, he played at Rockford. Before that, was the Horizon League player of the year 2 years ago. Big man that can rebound the ball, can step out, very good three-point shooter, handle the ball, loose basketball. But for me to kind of describe how broken there is. Imagine Allen Police, but much more athletic, much quicker, a guy who can handle the ball and attack the basket. One of the things about Cleveland was not really going to do much in terms of dribbling the ball, playmaking off the field. He was more of a screen, and I can pass the ball so well, and I can use myself as a screen to get that little bit. But that was pretty much the extent of what Allen Cleveland did. Harris could do that, but then he could go up there and he can play make off the dribble, he can step back, he can attack the basket. He wants to dunk on him. He's very aggressive, and he's got good size. 6'10", 30. He can be physical down the block. He can get physical speed a lot better than what Allen Cleveland is defensively. So it's almost like getting an Allen Cleveland on steroids, but much more athletic. And even a better shooter. So, add Alfred Harris, and you're like, okay, this is a little bit different. I love the physical athletic field. That's a guy that we have not had the last couple of years. I love the fact that we get a couple of really good big men while still keeping the prowess to be able to knock down the shots outside. While none of these guys are as good as Steve and Brian Conley, I think one thing I like about this team is that you have to respect that not started knocking the point. You definitely have to respect Alfred Harris. And you have to respect that Chelsea is very, very good. Did not seem great last year. Coming off of a broken knee, off the still kind of didn't know who he was. Got hurt and tore the big early. But the year prior, he was shooting about 39% and about 60%. That feels like a very good issue. So you haven't completely lost the Chelsea bigger, but you're a little bit different. And I think that was the biggest thing that you wanted to see was how's it going to move to shore up the business. And I think with those 4 moves that you made, and then adding Montgomery on top of it, with the news that Avery Willie unbelievably is going to be coming back there. At that point, you have a full starting class, you have a 6. Whether you're saying Montgomery is a starter or if it's Avery Willie is a starter, I think that you have 2 great options there. I think Montgomery and Willie will be battling for that starting pretty much all summer long. I think that that's going to be one of the most interesting things. That Louisville has so many options that these guys are going to be pushing to practice much more. They're not going to let you know that there is still a ton of action happening. There's still a ton of things going on. I think that Louisville is still, the sounds of it, talking or listening, reading, watching what's been going on. Jody Gibbs, Park Report, which is one of the best websites for me to look at. And it's basketball. If you have not gone out there and signed up for Park Report yet, definitely do that. Jody Gibbs knows everything that's going on. So, I just want to let you know that you need to get out there, but from what Jody's been saying, so much has been there. Louisville is not nearly done. I know a lot of you guys have heard about Dave 9, the 7'5" big man from USC, who's more of a just a big player. Very different player than Ben Douglas, but he would play that where 9 at 7'5", excellent shot clock. Very skinny guy, the way he's 7'5", 240. He's not a guy that's going to throw the ball through on the block. But he is a big rim protector. His block rate is one of the best in the nation last year. Probably playing about 50 games. His average block per game was those 2 minutes. So very good. Bobbing his shots is very good at being a rim protector. You can tell that Coach Nelson is definitely raising the bar in terms of protecting the leader. He's raising the bar in terms of making sure you have and I love that shit. But I think that while some people are seeing these changes, they think that Louisville may be completely going away from what they are to be. And from the way that this roster is being put together, I don't think that's the case. I think that Louisville is definitely going to try to make a difference in being more sound and more balanced offensively. But I don't think that we're going to now all of a sudden come in where all we're doing is looking to pound the ball into the middle. We're going to just throw the ball up there and just use our big men and our athletes to go get rebounds and putbacks. Like, I don't think that's happening. So I think that you might want to pump the brakes on that a little bit. I don't foresee that happening. I still think that this is going to be a matchup offense. There's going to be tempo. They're going to push the pace. They're going to get up and down. They're still going to shoot threes. But I think, like, I've been, I said all year long, I said it coming into last year. The biggest thing is you got to be more sound at all three levels. You just can't make this a team where you're going out there and all you do is the focus is so more so use they basically just got to settle for they kind of just sat on the line and said, this. Hopefully that fixes. Sorry about the audio for all those that were that are listening on X and Facebook and YouTube. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Shout out to Anthony Easton for letting me know that the audio was out. Sorry about that. I thought I had everything together before I got going, y'all. That because I run the show, I'm doing all the producing, I'm doing everything. Sometimes I will forget to click one thing or another, but shout out to Anthony Easton for getting me together. Hopefully that audio is better now. But I think that the one thing that from what I'm hearing, Gabe Dines is, he is a big man who is very coveted. He's already visited University of Kentucky as well as Louisville. The way I understand it, he's going to visit NC State and maybe Clemson the rest of his visitation cycle. But things are looking good for him. A lot of people think that Dines is at some point going to commit to the University of Louisville. And if he does, I would expect for him to be in that Zugris role where you have a big man that can play 5, 8, 10 minutes if you need. He's going to, if say Flory Badunga gets into foul trouble and you want to make sure that you shore up the paint defensively, that's going to be what he gives you. I don't think he's going to be much of an offensive threat. I think that he's a guy that, of course, at 7'5", if you get the ball around the rim, he can dunk it and do those types of things. But anything that he gives you is going to be much more about what he gives you on the defensive end. So expect for that to be his main job if in fact he is the guy that Louisville adds. But there are still some other guys as well that I'm super excited about as prospective commitments as well. So we're going to get into that on the other side. When we come back, we're going to start to look at some of the other places that Louisville could go from here. I think that there are definitely still clearly some needs, and I want to talk about that. We also want to get into kind of University of Kentucky as well and what they've been doing on the transfer portal madness. It's been kind of wild just watching the Big Blue Nation kind of reacting to everything that's happening. They're up, they're down, they're excited, they're depressed. Now I think they're excited again. So we're going to get into that and much, much more. You are listening to Wake Up 502. This is Raashaan Myers, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, and we'll be back on the Big X.
X Sports Radio. Raashaan Myers joining you live from the Placer Studios at 96.1 FM WXVW. So many things happening, so many things going on. Like I am just, there's so much, it's wild because we've discussed everything that's happening, and I wanted to really get into where Louisville goes from now, or kind of some of the things that are happening. And it's just amazing, some of the things that have transpired over the last couple of weeks since the last time we spoke. And it's just very interesting. Of course, that there's all the things happening, and I want to wait for Haven Harrington to get on so we can discuss kind of some of the football situations. But you have the Jeff Brom thing going on with him finally getting his contract situation taken care of. So kind of the Cold War between he and Josh Hurd are over with. So I want to get into that with Haven Harrington. But you also have kind of the news that Papa John Schneider is apparently back in the fold and being officially welcomed back to assist the University of Louisville and kind of be one of those big money, big open pocket donors for the university. So you have that happening. I want to get Haven's thoughts on that as well. But we're going to get into that hopefully as we move forward. I know Jay Haas will more than likely be giving the call as well. So we're going to get into that. Before we get into all of that, when those fellas jump on the line, still have so much to get into. I was just on Cardinal Authority during the break, kind of looking through the scuttlebutt and the news of what's going on. Of course, one of the big notes, besides Gabe Dines, who made the visit, there was another surprise visit that got announced on Wednesday. That big man, Obinna Ikezi Jr. If you don't know that name, for basketball knowers and folks that have watched basketball for years, Obinna Ikezi was a big man. Senior was a big man that played at Maryland back in the day. He played at Maryland, I believe, from 96 to 99. He was there at Maryland just kind of before Maryland went on that run of, won that national championship. It was one of the best teams in there. I know you guys remember maybe Lonnie Baxter. Obinna Ikezi was kind of the big man before Lonnie Baxter got there. And, of course, Baxter and those guys helped win the championship in 2002. But Obinna Ikezi kind of helped build the foundation there with Gary Williams and crew. Well, his son is now an elite prospect. He's one of the best players in the class of 2027, 7'1", about 230 pounds, absolute beast of an athlete, can do everything in terms of running the floor, scoring in the post, very quick, very twitchy. It was announced out of the blue that Obinna Ikezi Jr. was making a visit after previously visiting Michigan and Arkansas, that he was coming to Louisville for a visit, and that the possibility is out there that Ikezi would be looking to possibly reclassify, leave the class of 2027, jump into the class of 2026, and come to school this fall. So Louisville got in there for a visit for this big man, I'm guessing, to play either beside or as the reserve to Floyd Badunga, which is crazy that you could get a 5-star, the number 2 rated center in the 2027 class, a young man that would absolutely be a one-and-done type of prospect, if he was able to come in and have a big-time year. To be able to, be looking at this young man as either as part of a Twin Towers or even a reserve big man coming off the bench, it's just unbelievable that that's where we are at, and Louisville is swimming in those waters. But Ikezi did make it to town. He got in Thursday night. He conducted his visit on Friday. It was also announced just prior to his visit that Ikezi was going to cancel his visit to Michigan. He was supposed to be going back to Michigan for another visit, but he apparently canceled that visit. So very, very interesting there. Like, I'm not really ready to go out there and say that I feel like Akizi's going to get done, but Louisville's really thinking that they have a shot to get him, and they really believe that he has an opportunity of reclassifying, and you could really and legitimately have one of the best centers out there, in college, in high school basketball, joining the team. This young man he went to the NBA Players Association Top 100 camp, which is one of the more prolific and popular high school all-star, not really high school all-star camps, but it's for all prospective athletes. It doesn't matter whether you're rising seniors, rising juniors, rising sophomores. They try to get the best young players all together at a camp. They go through skills. They play on teams. And at this Players Association Top 100 camp, Obinna Akizi Jr. ended up winning the defensive MVP of the camp for the week that everybody was there. So you're talking about a superlative defensive player, a guy who can run the floor, a guy who's polished around the rim. He would be an absolute jewel to any team that would get him. So it looks like he's seriously looking at reclassifying. So that's another guy to keep an eye on. The fact that you got him on campus and he canceled his trip to Michigan tells me that there's definitely at least, superlative interest in making that happen. So definitely a name to keep your name on. If you get that guy, like, that changes conversations, okay? Like, I feel like Louisville right now, and you can tell me what you guys feel at 502-414-1450 at the Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. What you all think, where Louisville is right now in terms of, in terms of the top 25, where you think Louisville is sitting right now. I think they're around top 10, top 15. But we could argue about that. Let's go ahead and hop on the Call Your Law Office hotline. Got a caller coming in. Is this Haven? Is this you?
Man, you know what it is.
Man, good morning, my brother. How are you doing this morning?
No, I'm doing good. How about yourself? Man,
I'm doing well. Talking about all this craziness going on in the transfer portal. Super excited to get you on. I know you this time of year for you, you're kind of running crazy, doing all types of stuff with the YMCA. They keep you running, but I'm glad you got a few minutes for me, man. How things been going with you?
Man, things been going great, man. I can't complain.
Glad to
hear. The NFL draft, Louisville's recruiting class, transfer portal class, looking pretty good. Mark Pope is still doing sketchy stuff that we don't even know about because he's weird. It's all been good.
Yeah, for sure. So, Haven, I definitely want to ask you about some of the goings on with football and kind of the spring game and Jeff Brown. But before we get into that, I do want to get your thoughts on, kind of what Kelsey's been doing with how he's been building this class in the transfer portal so far since the end of the regular season. What do you think about it? What do you think about it just in general as far as the pieces that he's adding, and kind of where do you think Louisville would sit right now? What would you be their opinion of if you were to project out a top 25 type ranking, where you would have them right now?
The transfer, they're like the number one in some publications.
The
transfer portal class.
Yeah, so they're pretty much consensus the number one recruiting class right now in the transfer portal.
So, you have to give them at least the top 15. Based on how they finished last year, it's hard to tell because these are all new teams, right? Because every year is a new team, so it's really hard to rank teams because a lot of teams are brand new from scratch. So I have no idea how they're going to fit together, how they're going to fit the coaching staff until they're there. But I would give them a top 15.
Okay.
I would definitely about top 15. Probably closer to anywhere between, for me, somewhere between 12 and 10.
Yeah, and that's actually about where I am right now as well. I would agree with you. Roman actually asked that question of me yesterday, and he was like, would you put Louisville in the top 10? I'm like, not yet. I think that they're getting close. I believe 11th or 12th, so I'm right there with you. Now, and what do you think about just in terms of the guys? Like right now they have Jackson Shelstad. It's been announced that Adrian Woolley's coming back. They have Carter Knox as well as Alvaro Figueres and Flory Badunga, and apparently London Johnson is returning as well. What do you think about this group overall, and how Pat Kelsey is, building this team after what he saw and what happened in year 2?
Okay, so I'm going to say something controversial.
Okay.
And that was, I know Adrian Willie's coming back, but I really didn't care if he did or didn't.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you're not a big fan of Adrian Willie. Roman loves Adrian Willie.
I know he loves Adrian Willie, but the times he played, he just looked kind of average. Yeah. Like he never really distinguished himself as oh my God, he has all these skills. He just kind of looked like an average dude that just looked lost a lot of times. Yeah, I wasn't sure what to do when he was out there. And maybe that's because he has more of a mid-range game offense. Yeah. And this was definitely last year. The offense set up just 4 threes.
Yeah.
So the offense did not match his skill set. So maybe there's some changes this year to where it will match more of a skill set. Maybe with the influx of new coaches on the coaching staff, maybe there may be more influence on the mid-range to, game around the rim. So he actually may shine more this year and able to show what he can do versus what he did last year. But, yeah, I just wasn't really impressed with Adrian Willie, so I'll take a pass. I would have come out roots back if I don't have anybody back, especially now you have a guy that can kind of coach bigger players on staff.
Yeah.
But that's just me. The guys coming in, I think it's good, right? We was finally going with what we saw last year. You gotta be big. You gotta be physical. And it's kind of a testament to the skilled players we had last year that we were able to be as competitive against a lot of teams. But you saw, the Final Four and Elite Eight, there's going to be no way in the world this little team last year is going to compete with any of those teams because we just weren't physical enough. And it seems like they're addressing that physicality. To me, it's going to be interesting how they kind of fill out the roster because we all know that, PK loves his threes, so he's going to have to get some marksmen in there someplace to kind of fill everything out. So right now, I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely seems like PK's learning from it. I do agree with your assessment of Adrian Woolley. He was definitely a kind of a hot and cold player. Some games he would be, pretty decent. Other games he was not so great. He did have a strong end to the season, but he definitely he never really looked comfortable. And I do think that a lot of that was due to playing out of position. He was asked to be kind of the de facto point guard a lot of the time, especially once Michael Brown got injured. They asked Willie to do a lot of playmaking and ball handling and decision making. And I really don't think that's his skill set. I don't really think that's something that comes natural to him. So I think that not understanding when to pass, when to shoot, when to look to be aggressive to score, and when you're trying to get your teammates set up. Does that make sense? Like, it really felt like he was uncomfortable a lot because he was being asked to do way too much in last year's offense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he was asked to do too much, but he wasn't asked to do the things that he was good at.
Yes.
And that's the other thing, right? Because like I said, he's a mid-range type of scorer.
Yeah.
And our offense actively worked against anybody trying to score in the mid-range, right? We actually dissuaded people from shooting middies. It was threes or you get layups and fouled.
Yeah.
So it took away most of his games. I can see why I feel like a fish out of water, but like I said, with the new coaching staff, it looks like there's going to be a change of philosophy or a slight change of philosophy. So I'll be interested to see how everything fits together.
Yeah, they got Coach Dixon that came over from Clemson, who was kind of specialized in coaching the guards and the wings, and kind of getting those guys playing downhill, being aggressive defensively. Yeah, John Andershek that came over from Campbell, who more specialized with the big man game and kind of defensively focusing there with the bigs. So, yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot more physicality, a lot more aggressiveness, from the coaching end. And I think that a guy like Woolley, who is a very physical, strong, bodied player, you would think that this new system that seems to be coming is going to kind of fit that a little bit better than what we've had in the past. So, I definitely think that's going to be a thing. Let me go ahead. Is this Roman? Are you in there?
I'm here.
Hey, look at there. Haven, you're still there as well, correct?
I am still here as well.
Look at that.
We got to talking greasy about Roman's favorite player.
I know. Roman Kelly joining us. So glad I'm trying to juggle all this. I wanted to make sure I could get both you guys on the line. So the fact that we have everybody on there, we got the party line happening. I love it. Glad to have both you fellas on there. Yeah, Roman, I got to let you know, we were just talking about Adrian Woolley and kind of his announcement that he returned and that he's going to be a part of this. Haven said that he really didn't care whether Adrian came back or not. He said that he really just did not impress him because he did look a little bit confused and hot and cold and really couldn't really depend on a lot of what, what he was going to give you game in and game out. This is one of your favorite dudes. Adrian Woolley's probably your favorite guy on the team. So what do you have to say about that and what he could prospectively be looking coming into this next year?
Well, I believe Adrian Woolley has the opportunity to do something very special. I think that with his clear off-ball prowess and his ability to kind of use his footwork to attack closeouts and whatnot, I think that you're going to see the opportunity for him to really raise his game. I think that you're also going to see the opportunity for that spacing to be something that is what with the UFL basketball system, like the system's going to thrive on. You're going to need a point guard and shooting guard who can both go out there and command the perimeter for you. Adrian Woolley has shown that he can be that already. I think it's just a matter of time of him putting a few things together that he learned being in the system, working out a few of the kinks that we didn't maybe like, and him adding to his game and being even more successful this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that's the interesting thing about with the guys that are coming back. It's been a lot of conversation about what's going to be, quote unquote, Pat Kelsey's new system. What's he going to do? How's this going to change from the system that he was running last year? And I'm going to be honest with you, fellas, and y'all can tell me if you have an opinion. I'm like, you know what I think the new system is going to be? I think they're going to get back to just playing basketball. Playing basketball at all three levels, attacking a defense the way you're supposed to attack a defense, where you're taking advantage on the perimeter if it's there, taking advantage in the mid-range if it's there, getting the ball to the rim or throwing the ball inside and taking advantage if it's there, and playing physical defense all around the court. To me, I think they're just going to play more basketball. I know that's a crazy concept in 2026, but what do y'all think about that?
You know what? I'll have to see after like the first couple of practices and scrimmages to see exactly what they do, because I'm not sure if PK is fully ready 100% to give up. I want to jack up threes all day offense and run just yet. I think he'll probably modify it, and then throughout the season, depending on how the season goes, I think you'll see probably more of an emphasis on your traditional 80s basketball offense, where, yes, you do attack at all three levels of the court. But I still think something in me says that PK is still going to try to run and gun for at least a little bit.
Yeah.
And then kind of slowly dial it back as the season goes on, as the realization really sits in like, nah, bro, you can't do that anymore. That's no longer college basketball.
Ron, what do you think about that? And I agree with you, Haven. Like, I don't think Louisville's going to stop getting up and down the court. I think they still want to push the pace. I think they still want to, pressure defensively. And I think they still want to put a premium on shooting the three. I just think they want to be more sound. What do you think about that?
I think that they want to have that balance. But like you mentioned, I think that they want to be able to attack teams in multiple ways. And Raashaan, I think even more importantly, I think they want to have the ability to attack a team the way of their choosing, right? And it'd be their option. We want to attack a team with our big and Floyd Medulla and the lob threat. Let Jackson Sostak go out there and be a scorer. And if they don't stop it, if they stop it, can be a passer. In that system, you're going to have the all systems go, right? Shelstead, Woolley, Knox. If you get it in stride in the perimeter, you just go straight to the basket. See if you can get a counter move into a drive, into a kick. Yeah. And, you've got your shooters in Shelstad and Woolley who are going kind of command those off-ball screens from Knox, from Meduna, from Alvaro. Alvaro's got the passing ability to find those guys on those cuts, on those readjustments out on the three-point line to get clean looks. We literally have the opportunity to play in multiple different ways. I know we kind of alluded to this last season, and we felt like there was going to be the opportunity to do so much, but that was centered around depth, Raashaan.
Yeah.
And there was still a lot of question marks centered around how the depth was going to perform, how certain guys are going to coexist with others. We know that what our core guys are going to be. We know those guys are going to be your main impact guys, right? And you know what you're going to get in your bench, out of your bench and the unit outside of your starting guys as well. So I expect there to be a balance. I expect there to be a very big understanding because of the guys that you play the heavy minutes. It's tough because you give less room for an injury or something like that, right? Like, you know that we've had the depth kind of to pick up missing parts, but now you don't. And you're relying heavily on your starting unit. But with that being said, each of our starters offers multiple aspects of their skill set. They're bringing multiple aspects of the skill set to the table, and that's going to elevate this offense in my eyes.
For sure, absolutely. No, I'm right there with you. I think that the flexibility and the versatility of the prospects definitely diversifies your offense and your offensive attack. It gives you a lot to worry about. Like I said, I think that the thought of the pick and roll when you have, Fulgaris coming to set a screen for Jackson Shelstad at the top of the key, and you have a guy who's lightning quick like Shelstad with the ball, but also can, shoot it the way he can. And then you have Fulgaris who can pick and pop or pick and roll to the rim as well with Badunga in that dunker spot. To me, that three-man trio right there is going to give hell to opponents. Like, I feel like that right there, that look is going to be very difficult to defend. So I think the offensive versatility and flexibility is definitely something to look at. We do have some thoughts coming in on X as well as on the Game Day Men's Health text line. So are you guys good to stay for another segment?
Yeah, I'll start another segment.
Cool. So then we're going to go ahead. We're going to get to our top of the hour break. When we come back on the other end, I still have a bunch of questions for both Haven and Roman. So you are listening to Wake Up 502, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio, and we'll be right back.
Wanna do us, screw us, who us? Yeah, Papa and Pump. Close like Starsky and Hutch, stick to clutch. Yeah, I squeeze 3 at your cherry M3, bang every MC easily.
Take that.
Recently, frontin' ain't saying nothing, so I just speak my peace, keep my peace. Cubans with the Jesus peace, with my peace. Packing, asking who want it, get on it, flaunt it. That Brooklyn.
This is Kentuckiana's only locally owned sports talk. The Big X, AM 1450 and 96.1 FM, WXVW Jeffersonville.
Hour number 2, Big X Sports Radio, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. It's going down on a beautiful Saturday morning. Raashaan Myers, Haven Harrington, Roman Kelly. We got all the superlatives in this morning. So glad you guys back on there. Y'all still with me?
Still here.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Love it. So that's what I'm talking about, Roman. I love it. So before we went to break, we were definitely going deep, talking about all these things that are going on with Louisville basketball. We got the transfer portal madness. We got all these guys that have already added in, have been added to the team. It looks like, the winds are blowing that Louisville's looking to add, a 7'5" rim protector and Gabe Dines. They're still trying to, apparently look to add Obinna Akizi Jr., as a possible reclassification prospect. What do you guys think about Obinna? It seems like, Louisville wants both of these guys. So Obinna goes 7'1", 230, of course, one of the best big men in the 2027 class. They're also looking to add Gabe Dines, a 7'5" rim protector. What do you all think about this shift with, getting so much size on the interior? Do you all like this change to kind of go into this jumbo lineup type look?
I love it. I think it's huge. I think it's awesome to have the opportunity to have double big lineups going forward. I think that when you have size and Carter Knox out on the perimeter, and then the versatility of Floyd Badunga's defensive ability, you have the option to create a lot of different ways to attack matchups defensively and create them to get stops. So I think it's, there's obviously the talk on potentially being worried on the shift and Pat Kelsey not being able to coach through a shift of this kind of philosophy change and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, there's going to be the kinks that have to work out, but he still is going to prioritize his guards. He's still going to prioritize creating out on the perimeter, and those guards and their play and their attention that they bring opening up things for others. That's a Pat Kelsey staple, and I don't see that being something that he just abandons.
Yeah, and Haven, what did you say? Sorry, you all were both kind of chatting. I guess I should have set that up better. But what do you think, Haven?
No, you're good. You're good. I'm excited only because we now have a coach that knows how to coach bigs. I think, like last year, we had good bigs.
Yeah.
But we just didn't have anybody that could coach them up. And I think that was, to me, that was Philly's biggest problem. I think you had the materials there to go ahead and make a great interior player. We just didn't have anybody on the coaching staff that knew how to coach up a big and to use them correctly. I think this year we now have a guy on the coaching staff that knows how to coach bigs, that knows how to use bigs. I think we can better incorporate the bigs in our offense. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what happens and how they actually incorporate two big tall guys. If they can get both of them, just what it's like when the Twin Towers are there, and how does that work on the offensive end? So I'll just be kind of curious, but I'm excited.
Absolutely. Now we got a message in from Joe Wilson on X. He's coming in on the chat feed. And this is what Joe said. Joe basically said that he said PK still needs a go-to scorer. Woolley isn't consistent enough to be that guy. He says we have a solid defensive roster, but we need someone who can get buckets at a better than average clip. Roman, what do you say about that? Do you think that Woolley's got it, or that inconsistency, does that worry you that Louisville needs to go out there and get one of these high-priced, big-time scorers that are still out there in the portal? What do you think, Ron?
You had a big-time player not being asked to score last year. This year, you had a big-time scorer, and you weren't allowing him to be that for you last year. I mean, I'm very, very confident in what Adrian Woolley can be. I mean, look at John Blackwell. So John Blackwell's a junior. Adrian Woolley just finished his sophomore season.
Yes,
he had the 1 year at Kennesaw State. Blackwell averaged 8 points as a freshman in his first season at that level with Wisconsin. I think that we need to give Woolley a little bit more credit on what he can be as a scorer in his correct position, in a system that's going to prioritize spacing still and getting those kick-out looks to guys who can catch and shoot. And then, of course, when you attack closeouts and you're not the main attention seeker, a bringer on the team, you don't have the defense zoning in on you off the ball on defense. Everything about the game becomes easier for a guy with that kind of a skill set, that kind of a footwork, those level of counterattacking moves in the paint. I think you can see that he needs a little bit of right hand finishing work, needs a little bit of just overall confidence work on the finishing. But like, people are just kind of, I feel like Raashaan, people are chalking whatever John Blackwell's ability as a scorer is, and names like that, Drew Karras and Anderson out of Texas. Guys aren't that their first year of college basketball, or even in their second year of college basketball all the time, especially not these big names. So
yeah,
it's only a matter of time Adrian Woolley becoming a big name like that. Why do you guys think John Calipari wanted Adrian Woolley? Why do you think Nate Oates wanted Adrian Woolley? Because they think he can be that. They think he is that. So I'm done, kind of feeling like Adrian Woolley is not enough. I think he is more than enough.
Hey, Harrington, what do you think about that?
I don't think he's enough. Just right now. That's just me. And I understand why Nate Oates and the Calipari want Willie, because
you clearly don't understand if you don't think he's enough. He's playing point guard. The only thing you saw is a player playing out of a position he's not enough, but you didn't see him in the right position. How do you know if he's enough or not, Haven?
Because
you didn't see him.
Because in PK's offense, I don't think you'll ever see him in the right position.
PK's offense is going to be brand new this season. You don't know what any player is going to look like in PK's offense this season.
I don't think it's going to be. I think it will be brand new, but not like completely brand new. Like I said, personally,
I just bought a $5 million center in the portal. It's going to be very different. I promise you.
We'll see. Because he had some decent bigs last year that had no idea what to do and was completely lost the whole season, the entire season.
I'll say this: the only thing that gives me pause or worry, because I do think that Woolley is an interesting talent, because he has a versatility of skills that I really like. He has the ability to hit the ball, to knock down the shot. He showed the ability to be able to play physically through contact and finish at the paint. The biggest thing for me that worries me about him, and I understand where Joe is coming from, is that Willie's sometimes very hesitant. And that hesitancy worries me from a guy that I'm going to look to at that starting two-guard spot. Because at the starting two-guard spot, especially with the other guys you have on the team, that's going to more than likely be your leading scorer. Like Jackson Shelstad could possibly end up being the leading scorer, but more than likely it's going to be whoever is starting at that two-guard spot is going to be looked to be kind of the leading scorer of this team, though I do feel it's going to be a team that's running about 9 deep, so I think that the scoring is going to be spread around. But I think for me, Rome, the biggest thing that I worry about with Woolley is the fact that he had a tendency to hesitate a lot and not really look sure of himself. So at this level, especially with the fact that he really didn't
I blame that on the coaching staff. When you get the kid the ball in his hands, you tell him score any way you can.
Yeah.
Go put the ball in the basket any way you can versus, hey, if the defense does this, you need to do this. If the defense does this, we need you to do this. If the defense does this, we need you to switch on to this guy and do this, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be way different. He's going to be playing off ball, reacting to what Shelstad does, literally being allowed to take what the defense gives versus trying to create issues for the defense and allow things to happen for other players. That's never been his game.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and you know what? A coach always used to say, one of the coaches, I can't remember who it was, but he said, I always wanted to have a player that I needed to tell whoa much more than I wanted to have to tell a player to go. Like those guys that were just so aggressive, that you just had to, kind of slow them down here and there, and Woolley he didn't necessarily have that. He never was kind of the guy that was just like, I'm just going to go get mine and everybody else is just going to have to get in line, so who we lose?
I think it's hard to prioritize having that when you've got a Michael Brown and Woolley and Najee really being the one getting all the priority of practice. You're right. I think there is something to be said about that. That is something we have to look into and pay attention to this year. But I think you saw that dog factor kind of get unleashed a little bit more in Woolley at the end of the season. And I think when you're when everything at practice is being centered around Michael, Isaac, and Ryan, it's tough to be all go, go, go. But you're right. I have heard that saying as well. We have to make sure he works that out of his game.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the only thing that worries me about him. And I will say this, Roman, through, I don't know how many games we'll play, 34, 35 games on the season. Adrian Woolley only attempted to dunk on somebody one time the whole year. And for a guy that seemingly had a lot of athleticism and a lot of physicality, he only attempted to go to the rim physically, aggressively to try to dunk the ball one time. That also worries me because I need somebody, if you're going to be in that starting spot, I need somebody who's going to be so aggressive getting to the rim, especially with a guy who seems to have the type of athleticism that Adrian has. I need to see that dog. So that would be my only thing to where I can understand people that say, I don't know if that's going to be enough. And it does sound like Louisville is still looking like, even with the addition of Deshane Montgomery, which I want to get your thoughts on Deshane just in general, that Louisville is still looking to the possibility of adding an elite scoring guard to this mix. So, like, from what I understand, Louisville's definitely not done with that. So, I can definitely understand both ends of it. I think that if you end up having Woolley as your starter, which I think that both he and Montgomery honestly could be fighting for that starting spot. I think that Deshane Montgomery is definitely good enough to push Woolley for that starting role. I can see where folks would say, you know what, I want somebody that I can trust, that I know at this level can get buckets. So if you were going after, say, a John Blackwell type player or a Juke Harris type player, that I know this dude is going to be aggressive, and he's shown me that at this elite level, I can go get you 20 a night. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think it adds, something like that will definitely, it raises the ceiling to a team you feel good about now to a team you can feel great about. So
yeah, I mean, because you look at what Michigan was bringing off the bench, on their national championship run. You had guys like Deshane Montgomery and Adrian Woolley coming in with that second unit, those type level players. So, you can definitely never have enough talent, but I do feel like Louisville is in good hands. Like I said, I mean, I think that they are. I know you said yesterday you thought that Louisville was a team that right now is probably sitting in your top 10. Isn't that what, you said you felt like that they're at that point right now?
I think so. I think they're right there, maybe like fringe on that, on the cusp of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, they're in a good place, but definitely if you're looking to make that push to be one of the best, 3 or 4 teams in America by the, start of the season, or at least that reputation, that, you can definitely look to add more to that. But let me ask you about the Deshane Montgomery addition. What do you love about him? What do you like about him, or do you not like him? Like, tell me what your thoughts are on him and what he can bring to Louisville.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything I truly dislike yet. When you're watching, I only watched a couple of Dayton games live, and there were games that they won easily, but I'm not zoning in on Montgomery when I'm watching those games. So I'm not really, I'd have to go back and try to look at some probably do some reading on his, some of his weaknesses, but I think that mostly my favorite aspect to him is how you can really have him do multiple things for you, Raashaan.
Yeah.
If you need him to be a floor spacer who can kind of be a scorer for you off the bounce and create off of the wings, he can do that. It seems like I feel like he's got the ability to be a spot up shooter. We chatted about the jump shot yesterday on the Mike Rutherford show, but I still do think that when you see the way the shots he's taking, the shots he's knocking down, those are only shots that a confident shooter takes. And when you have a slower jump shot, typically you're pretty in tune with that, right?
Yes.
That's where the counter moves kind of come. So I love what he is as an offensive player for sure. Not to mention that he has amazing anticipation on the defensive end and creates a lot of his own offense through steals, through deflections, through getting out in transition, where he is one of those athletes where you can't judge the book by its cover, Raashaan. I'm not saying he looks like he can't jump or looks like he's out of shape by any means.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look like he doesn't come off physically as some like world-beating type of an athlete. He can fly. It's one of those interesting, like, he doesn't jump extremely high, but he hovers in the air for a long time.
He's one of those guys that you kind of call it, to borrow some 2K language. So he's a rim grazer. He's a guy who's
rim grazer. Yes. Yeah. And I think that's like trying to play up on the rim as much as you can. That's just the sign of a very aggressive player. And I think he's really savvy. I think he's super, super crafty. And when you're one of those kind of like in the half court, when you're one of those more of a slow mo kind of a players where you're just playing at your own pace, I think that can be critical to have. And he can also just completely turn it up with his speed and quickness out in transition. So I think what's nice about him in particular for the sake of how we're building the roster for this season, Raashaan, is that you've got what you've got in Showstad's ability, but you still have the potential with the injury there. And then obviously a lot of people, when you're having a player you're expecting to make a jump in Adrian Mooney, you don't want to just completely 100% rely on that facet and not have another option too, right?
Yeah.
Which I can get. I'm not going to sit here and say that we're not. Adrian Mooney's already made that jump and people are crazy. It's more so centered around the opinions on the jump he's going to make and how that's going to look, right? And that's the question mark technically. Everybody's going to have wavering opinions on that. So to not necessarily solidify your backcourt, but to add one more interchangeable piece to your backcourt that can shoot, that can put the ball on the floor, and you're not going to think he's going to turn the ball over.
Yeah.
And you can play with some of that intensity and some of that girth you need this new roster to have. It's nice you got added a guard with that, right? Because really, he got bigger throughout the year. He got a little bit stronger, but he's still not anything crazy athletically in terms of his strength.
Yeah.
And then Showstad's one of those more nimble, agile guys. So you brought in a guy who can kind of come in and be I'm not going to say an enforcer, because he's 6'4", 215, I believe, but I think he can come in and be someone that he's not a pushover by any means. He's not somebody that can be a liability. He's not somebody you can pick on. And if you have a rolled ankle or a sprained ankle or a sprained wrist or something for a couple of games with a guard, you can slot right in and you don't really have a major drop-off.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand the thought process of wanting to add another guy to that mix, because whether it's a wing type of player, if it's a starting guard type guy, like a Juke or someone along those lines. I know that Louisville's going to be monitoring what's going on with guys that are in the portal that are going to be possibly looking to come back to school and who might be out there. I think there's still a lot to play out, and it sounds like Louisville feels like they want to go out there. That bag that they were going to give John Blackwell is still out there. Roman, like I know that John Blackwell is a nice player, but I don't feel like they had to go out there and pay him the type of money to where they now don't have the ability to go get a Blackwell level player. It sounds like they definitely have that, and they want to look to utilize that if they can. As far as the Obinna Akizi part of this, what is your thoughts on that? Do you think that Louisville would be looking to come in and play like do a Twin Towers type of deal? I'm interested because you would think a guy who is the number 2 center in the 2027 class, 5-star, elite type player, you wouldn't think that he would just be coming here to just play off the bench. What do you think about that ad? Like, do you feel like you could, PK could talk this dude into coming in to be a backup?
I think when you've got Flory Badunga, I think you can give yourself a lot of opportunity with those kinds of pitches because he's a freshman.
Yeah.
He'd be an underaged freshman at that, right?
Yes.
And you can tell him, look, we've got the best defensive big in college basketball on our team. Yeah. Do you think you can do that already? Probably not. However, we think for 15 to 20 minutes a game in the regular season, that probably down to like 10 minutes come tournament time, but for a majority of this regular season, we want to be able to deploy you alongside Flory and have you learn all the things he can do at his size and in his wingspan, and you incorporate those into your game, and then we also allow you to play alongside him at times when we do go up against those teams who, like we have done, have made those philosophy changes to go and get that girth and go and get that size of multiple positions now, rather than going and getting the shooting and versatility of multiple positions. Raashaan, everybody wants a 3, 4, and 5 who are 6'8" and up, 6'8" and up on the 3, 6'9", 6'10" and up on the 4, and they all run 7-footer at the 5 now, is what we've seen from Arizona and Michigan and UConn. So I get it. I get it, but I think PK is also trying to make sure he has got something up his sleeve to counter those teams. Now, you got to have a 7-footer these days, I think, at least on the squad. You don't need a really, I'm not saying you need a starting caliber one, unless you maybe have a small starting five, but all the teams in the last couple of years, majority of them that have had some success in March have had one big guy like that. So I think they want to just have that option now more so than to I mean, I feel like you can tell a kid, hey, you're supposed to be in high school still. You're not ready to start, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's just very interesting. Like, wouldn't even think, like, it just blows my mind to think that Louisville could be trying to talk a 5-star, top 10 consensus kid into being like, you know what, you can come here and, you know, be the backup. like the fact that Louisville is even pitching that as a possibility and thinking that they have a legit opportunity is just wild to think about, especially with what PK has been the last 2 years.
I'm also wondering, Raashaan, if maybe they just watched what a lot of the freshman non-guards did this year.
Yeah.
And what the number 1 overall pick type of guys have been the last couple of years, and they're maybe thinking like, hey, if we want to go 5-star, you can be PGU without the PGU hand being a 5-star freshman, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that maybe they're thinking like, hey, these 5-star bigs and these 5-star versatile, sizable guys are probably better off than your A-Cuffs or your Mike Kells, just because it's harder to get to the NBA at that level. You're as a guard, your draft status fluctuates so much that the opportunity for issues, whether that being on court and them not being able to defend because they're small guard, or them trying to ensure that they get to the NBA as much as possible, it can be tough to deal with guards. While with bigs, I feel like a big or a versatile young wing constantly has something to their game that they need to be showing and trying to impress to their upper level guys. You know, as soon as they heard about this, the back of my brain for some reason went out. They watched Cam Williams come to Duke this coming season, and they know that Duke's got another one and done big. They don't want this to be another Duke one and done big in 2 years, and us be struggling against Duke all these years because of all this, right? So that's probably not the case. You're not making decisions based on what Duke's doing, but at the same time, you see a couple teams in college basketball now that have been in on 5-star names, kind of being in on those 5-star bigs now. So I'm glad that we're in on a player of this size. The reclass aspect is very interesting to me because I think you're obviously dealing with the question mark on if the kid can play at this level. I feel like reclasses either go one way, right? The kid shouldn't have reclassed, or the kid could have went to the NBA the year before, the year after. It didn't matter in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And those are pretty rare. The Cooper Flags of the world are not very, very often you get those at all. So,
I mean,
if he's ready to play, I love it. If he's not ready to play, it seems like a waste of a pitch when there was a couple of centers that were ready to come and do whatever was absolutely needed to contribute to winning at their size this season. There's a few bigs like that. You missed out on one, I think, in McCott. Freshmen, you never know what their mentality is in that aspect, right?
Yeah.
If they're brought in on wanting to be as good as they possibly can, so they turn eyes and be a difference and have NBA talent, think they can be a difference maker, then they're usually brought in, right? If they're worried about the Instagram followers and the money and the name, the talk centered around their name, that's typically not the kind of freshman you want. So,
well, the thing I like about
as a fan and as a radio guy, I have no way to go and judge those kinds of things unless you're in with somebody that knows them well. And unfortunately, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think if he has a good personality and he's willing to come and sit and learn how to play off the bench, at least at the beginning, I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, and look, the thing I like about, Obinna Akezi Jr. is that his dad, was a star at Maryland. He played in the NBA. And usually when you have players like that, where you have a father that played in the league, normally those kids come in with a different temperament. It's kind of the reason why, even though Donovan Mitchell's was, his dad was not a basketball player, but he was a baseball player and was in the front office, as a baseball, pitching coach or whatever. Like, those kids that have professional parents just are different. You know what I mean? Like, they just come in with a different demeanor and a mentality because, you have a father that's been through all of that. They just seem to have a different maturity level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's probably a different expectation centered around, how they're supposed to be maneuvering too.
Yeah, I mean, you have a dad that played 6 years in the NBA, was a star and a standout at Maryland. So it's not like you're coming in here. Most kids like that don't come in there like super pampered, unless you're Doc Rivers' son. Austin thought he was Kobe Bryant from the day he stepped on the court. But most kids,
I also think that kids like that typically want to avoid being issues. They don't want to be locker room issues. They've already been explained and taught what that can be.
Yes.
So they're prioritizing not necessarily being the coaches, but trying to do everything right and do everything the right way, particularly at this level.
Yeah, because they've
got 2 or 3 plans well beyond Louisville. But you've got to, at this age, you've got to show that you can be grown early, right? And typically PK is good about figuring those kinds of things out in recruits, both with the young guys and the transfers, I would say.
Yeah, and just look on top of the fact that, look, Obena his dad is from Nigeria, and, folks that come that have that overseas pedigree.
They don't play.
No.
They do not play.
No.
Obena's dad might let him get a 4-year degree. You never know.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So, to me, there's a lot of potential there. So it gets me very excited to see that could be a possibility. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. Like I said, at this point, I still look at that as a pipe dream that happening. I know Michigan wants him really, really badly. I know Coach Cal in Arkansas is looking that way as well. I'm sure he can go anywhere in the country he wants to. But the fact that the young man took the visit to Louisville, he canceled his Michigan trip. There's a lot of smoke around Obena Ekezie Jr. So that's one to keep an eye on. I'm super excited that Louisville is in the running for that. But I think there's still a couple of twists and turns with this Louisville roster, Roman. So, we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I tell you what, we're already at the bottom of the hour. Got one more segment left. Roman, do you got to run, or are you going to be back for this final segment?
Yeah, I've got to run out of here for this one, Raashaan.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for jumping in with me. Make sure you guys are checking out Roman. Run in with Roman every weekday from 2 to 2:30. Of course, he's on with the Mike Rutherford Show from 2:30 to 5:30. And then, of course, Ticket Punchers from 5:30 to 6. He does the 3-man front. They're doing that every Thursday, talking things Louisville Kings. Roman, you got so many things going on. What else you got tonight? You got anything else going on, or anything?
I got a couple things in the works. We're gonna, maybe next week's Derby show we might have a special announcement.
Oh, there we go. I like it. So keep tuned. Roman is the hottest man. Roman, can I have your autograph next time I see you? Can I, get a
don't do that. Don't do that. The only reason I'm getting to do all this is because of the mentorship and guidance I've been able to get from first you, and then of course Mike after as well. On top of that, and I'm extremely blessed and thankful that I've just getting the opportunity to have a life in sports on top of getting to do things in Louisville. It's fun. It's great, and I thank you and Mike every day as often as I can for the opportunities that you guys have helped me get. So really appreciate all you've done for me, Raashaan.
No, I appreciate it, man. Good luck, man. I'm excited to hear about what's happening next, Rome. But thank you so much for giving a call in, and we'll talk with you. Hopefully we'll get you back in studio here for too long, brother.
Yeah, we should be back in this next Saturday. Might have to help a friend move, but we're going to try to make it in. I'll be moving around next Saturday, so we'll be in the studio.
Cool. Sounds good, man. Have a good one, Rome. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Go Cards.
There we go. Roman Kelly joining us, checking in. You are listening to Wake Up 502. We got one more segment. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about Brown. We're going to talk about the NFL draft. If you have any more thoughts, 502-414-1450. That is the Game Day Men's Health text line. Give us a text in, and you'll be up next. This is Raashaan Myers, and we'll be back on the Big X. And welcome back in. Welcome back in. Last segment of the show. Wake up 502, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. Big X Sports Radio. Big thanks to Roman Kelly and Haven Harrington for giving us a few minutes talking about all the great things happening with Louisville basketball. Want to give a shout out. Congratulations to Chris Bell, former Louisville Cardinal wide receiver. Gets selected last night in the third round to the Miami Dolphins. A lot of Devontae Parker vibes there. I was hoping that the Baltimore Ravens would go ahead, select Chris Bell. They did end up taking a wide receiver in the third round a little bit earlier, but they decided to opt for the USC wide receiver Jacoby Lane. So unfortunately, the Ravens did not get Bell, but I think that Bell is dropping in a good spot there with the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins have a need for some wide receivers. I know that they lost a lot of guys. Jalen Waddle had been traded. Tyreek Hill's coming off injury. So there's definitely some opportunity there for Chris Bell, who is well ahead of schedule in his knee surgery and recovery. I think that scared off a lot of teams, and teams are worried about just rehabbing and bringing in a kid that's coming off a knee injury. So I get it. I understand it. But congratulations to him. Definitely, no slouch getting drafted in the third round. A kid that was definitely getting hype as a potential end of first round pick prior to his injury. So good luck to him as he starts his professional career there in Miami. We'll definitely be watching that. Have loved what I've seen from the draft. You guys know that I'm a longtime Las Vegas Raiders fan. Been a Raiders fan forever. Of course, I also am a devout Baltimore Ravens supporter and follower because of course, our man LJ Era 8, Lamar Jackson. So, that's always going to be there. But love what the Raiders have done. I think that Fernando Mendoza was definitely a no-doubt pick there at number 1. But the draft was crazy. The draft was insane. The two selections by the Arizona Cardinals and Tennessee Titans, taking the running back Love with the third pick, and then taking Carnell Tate at number 4 were the Titans, and it kind of threw off everything in the first round, made for some very interesting selections the rest of the way. I think that Vega Ione, the guard prospect that can play all 3 interior line spots, was a huge pickup for the Ravens. I definitely was one of those folks that were hoping that the Ravens would select Ruben Bain there with that 14th pick, but I definitely understand taking Ione. He is the best guard in the draft. So being able to get the number 1 top guard prospect in the draft and, showing up the offensive front in front of Lamar Jackson, I get it. I understand it. Day 3 of the draft, and the final 4 rounds of the draft will be going down today. Rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7. That'll be coming your way, I believe, at noon. I believe that gets going, if I'm not correct. If I am correct, I believe that's coming up. I don't know, noon, maybe 11 o'clock. It's coming up soon. So definitely still a lot of players out there. I feel like somebody is going to get an absolute steal in Renee Conga. I would hope. I know that you always want to see players go to your favorite teams, but I think that both the Raiders and the Ravens, who need interior defensive line help, Renee Conga is going to be a steal for someone. Just please don't let him go to the Kansas City Chiefs. That's all I'm asking. I need the Chiefs to quit drafting people that I like. I hate it because once they get drafted by either the Chiefs or the Bills, I can no longer cheer for them because I hate those two teams with a white-hot passion. So can we just please stay away from that? If we can do that, that'll make me very, very happy. We're back. We're talking so many things. It's so funny. I have to talk about University of Kentucky has been hilarious. If you guys have been watching UK and what's been going on with them in the transfer portal, of course, they have gotten a couple of nice commitments. They were able to get Alex Wilkins and Zoom Diallo as their backcourt, their prospective future backcourt moving forward. A couple of nice selections there. Of course, Malachi Moreno has announced that he's coming back. You still have Trent Noah there as well. You have Reese Potter, the big man who transferred over from Ohio who's redshirted last year. So they had some guys, but UK has struggled mightily with closing on a lot of their elite prospects. All of these elite transfer prospects, there's a lot of guys that have come in, visited Kentucky, and said no thanks. Well, Kentucky figured out a way to get around whiffing on a guy once he came to visit. And that's finding a European player, never having him visit, throwing him a bag, and just saying, come to Kentucky because we're Kentucky. And that actually worked out for them. Ousmane Dieng, big 6'11", big forward center prospect. He's more of a forward, kind of a hybrid 3-4, 6'11", maybe 210 pounds, 200. He seemed like he's pretty skinny. I'm not sure on the weight for Dieng, but Big Blue Nation, as you would expect, has completely gone crazy now that he has Ousmane Ndiaye, so Ndiaye, Ndiaye, Ousmane Ndiaye. I used to say Ndiaye. I don't know if it's Ndiaye or Ndiaye. So we're gonna say Ousmane Ndiaye, 6'11". Let me get his measurements here just so we get this completely right. 6'11", 210 pounds. Senegalese native, is playing, over in one of the top leagues in Italy right now. Coming over, averaging 10 points. Looks like 10 points and maybe almost 7 rebounds for his Italian league team. Kentucky fans are calling him the Italian or French KD. I've heard French Wemby. I've heard they're going crazy, y'all. And, the kid has decent numbers. Like I said, 10.7 rebounds. I know the stats overseas are always kind of weird. They're always a little bit lower because they play only so many minutes. Looks like he was playing about 27 minutes per game for his French team. Definitely seems like he can shoot the ball. He shot 5 threes a game, only shot 32% from 3 for his Italian league team this year. But UK fans are going nuts, and I understand it. I get it. They have been struggling mightily to sign guys in the portal. They're saying that this kid has the potential to be a lottery pick type prospect. I've heard top 5 prospect. I've heard a lot of stuff, but congratulations, UK. Y'all got a guy, Ousmane Ndiaye. I hope you know what you're getting yourself into. I mean, I think that, he's the type of guy that it does pair well with Malachi Marino if he can shoot the ball consistently, but that hasn't necessarily been the case as of yet. I mean, he's only a career 30% shooter overseas through, it looks like, 3 years of competition overseas so far. And like I said, shooting 32% from downtown and 42% overall. It's not the greatest numbers in the world, but his highlight tape looks amazing. I mean, when you see a 6'11" guy that can run up and down, can knock down shots, I mean, he can, it's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. So we'll see. I don't think he's the Italian KD. I don't think he's any of those things. I think he's a pretty talented guy, but all I know is that if he was that good, he's 22 years old. If he was that good, he'd be in an NBA draft, and he is not there. But you just gotta love BBN. They're so cute. They're so cute. But so many things happening, so many things going on. I'm very interested. I know that we've talked about a lot of the guys, and where they're going in the transfer portal. Big news this week with and I wanted to get Haven Harrington's thoughts on this, but big news with Coach Jeff Brom. That whole deal with the contract is over. I don't have a ton of thoughts on that outside of I'm glad they get it done so we don't have to talk about it. In my personal opinion, Jeff Brom wants to be here. He should be here. I think that he's definitely the guy for the job. I don't think that necessarily there was a big rush to get a contract done outside of the fact that other teams really wanted him. If you look at what, the production on the field has been what it's been over the last 3 seasons. I think that Coach Brom has had a lot of good, but there's also been a lot of head-scratching losses and things where you have to look at. I know that, he mentioned, the fact that NIL was not right and that was maybe hindering him in some ways from achieving all his goals. And while I understand that ultimately the goal is winning a championship, and I definitely can see where you could say that you don't have the talent to go out there and win a championship right now, and I would agree with that. But I would also say that lack of talent was not the reason that you lost to, say, I don't know, Virginia at home, California at home, Clemson last year at home. That really wasn't about NIL. That was about, not being able to take care of business in situations where you should at home, with Miller Moss as your quarterback. So I get it, and I think that Coach definitely deserved the contract extension because you have to show him love because other teams appreciate him, want him, see the value in him. So you have to go out there and make sure he feels that love, so you can keep him around because there's not a better coach out there that you're going to get than there is Jeff Brom if you're Louisville football. So I'm just glad they got it done. We can quit talking about it. We can look forward to the fall. We can look forward to these guys getting into everybody came out of, well, I won't say everybody came out of spring camp unscathed because there were definitely a couple of wide receiver injuries. There's unfortunately going to be some guys that look like they may end up missing the whole season this upcoming year. So Louisville did add a couple of wide receivers from the not the transfer portal, but like JUCO guys that they've added to the roster since then. So from all accounts and purposes, it was a successful spring. I think Lakai Tompkins, the big jumbo sized running back, 6'2", 230 pounder, impressed a lot of people. Lincoln Keenholz, impressed the staff, was not necessarily great in the spring game itself. From what I understand, it was a lot of short passes, dump offs, things of that nature. But I think Keenholz is the type of player that, especially how he plays, is kind of a runner, scrambler, short passing game. A lot of what he does is not going to necessarily look that great, especially in the spring, because there is really no offensive install. The coaches aren't trying to give anything away, but also how you're going to employ him and implement him with read option plays and RPOs and things of that nature. They aren't really giving away any of that, and what Keenholz does well, you're really not going to see. The backup quarterback as well did come out, who was another transfer that came over from, I believe, Georgia Southern, I believe is where he came from. Apparently looked really good through a couple nice deep ball touchdown passes. So, it's awesome to see those guys come out there. But make no mistake, Lincoln Keenholz is the guy, will be the guy. He will be the day one starter, as he should be. And I think that he'll be just fine. I never really worry about spring game performances because I have seen guys come out and look like Superman in the spring game. I'm talking to you, Jack Plummer and Miller Moss. Like, I've seen dudes come out and look great in the spring, and then some different stuff happens when the things go and get real. So I'm not worried about it. I'm excited about what Louisville can be. I think that Tyler Thompson and Clev Lubin, those two guys off the edges for Louisville football, have the opportunity to be special. They looked apparently very, very strong. I know Louisville added a jumbo-sized defensive tackle prospect from the JUCO ranks just a couple of weeks ago. 6'6", 300-pounder to add some size on the interior. With losing Renee Conga, Wes Bailey, and those guys, they definitely needed to kind of shore up that interior defensive line. So it was good to hear that. But, for all intents and purposes, Jeff Brom is happy. Josh Hurd is happy. Louisville's got, Papa John. I don't know what to think of the whole Papa John's thing. Like, I understand. Like, the way I look at it is this. There's no excuse for some of the actions that Papa John did. Okay? There's no, you apologize for it. I don't think that you should be ostracized forever. He got the Papa John's name taken off of the stadium. I think that was warranted, but also I think that, second chances are a thing. I think that you can come back, you can support the university that you love, you can come out there, your money can definitely be useful, but I think you just need to just walk the line, toe the line, try to be not necessarily a silent partner. It's fine if you want to be there, you want to smile, you want to take pictures, you want to show your love for the University of Louisville with your support, your presence and your money, most certainly. But you just need to understand that you have a lot of making up to do, and just kind of just chill. Just go out there and support the team and be there. Just don't try to do too much. But I feel like what happened with Papa John, besides the fact that Louisville being in the financial straits they're always looking for new revenue resources. So I understand going out there and shaking all the bushes, and one of the biggest bushes in there is John Schneider. But I feel like what's been happening is I feel like there's like a billionaire club somewhere. I don't know where that would be because I would definitely never be there. But I feel like what I envision is Mark Cuban at the Billionaires Club laughing with all his buddies, talking about how great it is that he helped buy Indiana a national championship and how they're having all this success. And I feel like Papa John was listening to this, jealous over in the corner, and was like, man, I want to buy a championship. I want to do something. I want to do that. So you know what? Let me see if Louisville's okay if I, offer to shell out some of these pizza bucks. Maybe I can, some of this Papa dough. Maybe I can help Louisville win a championship. So that way I can go in and brag to my buddies too, like Cuban is. I don't want Cuban to be the only guy having fun. So that's the way I figure this whole thing happened. But I'm okay with it. All that your money's no good. Whatever. Like there, all these teams that have Tyson chicken money and oil tycoon money. It's the name of the game in college athletics right now. So if Papa John can help Louisville land a big man like Obena Akizi, or if he can help get Louisville a defensive lineman or some O-line help, excuse me, I'm all for it. I'm okay with it. So Papa John, welcome back. Don't do anything else stupid. So how about that? We'll just leave it at that. But I am interested to see what's going on with the NBA playoffs today. Got to see the Cleveland Cavaliers get back on the good foot. They weren't able to get it done in game 3 there in Toronto. That they weren't able to knock off the Raptors on the road. They were good for about 3 quarters and then just got the doors blown off in the fourth quarter. LeBron James continues to turn back the hands of time. They got game 3 victory on the road in overtime over the Rockets. The Rockets absolutely blew the game. They had a 3-point lead with just about 15, 18 seconds left. Turned the ball over, and LeBron hits the game-tying 3. They end up going to overtime and getting it done. The Celtics came back in game 3, got the win on the road in Philly. They were able to get that done. And the Spurs, without Wemby, were able to go ahead, come back, get that thing done, beat the Trailblazers on the road. So very exciting games. You got a 4-game slate coming up here on Saturday in the NBA playoffs. You have the Hawks and Knicks. Hawks looking to even this series, take the 3-1 lead in this series. The Knicks, who were one of the favorites, controversially fired Thibodeau. They fired Thibodeau after getting to the conference finals and, having a pretty good show of things before bowing out. They fired Tibbs. I really don't know why they did that, but, that they end up firing Tibbs. They made it to the finals. Excuse me, the Knicks and Thunder played for the finals. So, I mean, I don't know. No, hold on. Was it the Pacers? Am I thinking the Pacers? No, it was the Pacers. Sorry, y'all. The Knicks made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, fired Thibodeau. Now they are on the brink of being on the brink of elimination. If they lose to Atlanta in game 4, they will be down 3-1, looking at a first-round exit. So firing Thibodeau, hiring Mike Brown may be one of the worst decisions ever. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Nuggets and Timberwolves has been a yawn series. Minnesota leads the Nuggets 2-1 as they head to Game 4, so they're looking to get a commanding lead there as well. The Thunder and Suns, I don't think the Suns have even showed up. And we'll have to see what's going to happen with the Magic and the Pistons. Magic got Game 1. The Pistons came back and had a very strong Game 2, especially in the second half. So we'll have to see what happens with that. And then, of course, you have the Cavs and Raptors coming up on Sunday as well. Cleveland leading 2-1. I would really love to see Cleveland go up 3-1, get that Game 4, and kind of take a stranglehold on that series. We don't need Donovan and Harden having to play a long series. So we have that. So much more coming up. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you continue to listen to me. Please give me a follow at Raashaan, RAASHAAN, after all of the craziness with my handle on Twitter X. Finally got it back, so I would definitely appreciate it. And thanks to Roman Kelly as well as Haven Harrington for everything. This is Raashaan Myers for Wake Up 502. And with that, like we always say, without struggle, there is no progress. Peace, y'all.